All right. How's everybody doing? Good? All right. Hey, hey. Oh, thank you all. I appreciate that. Don't make me blush up here. All right. Next talk is titled Partnering with Purpose: How to Build a Successful Partnership, presented by Jody Fiorenza. The session explores the key ingredients of a thriving partnership, offering actionable insights on communicating effectively, setting clear expectations, and fostering mutual growth. Everyone, give a warm welcome to Jody Fiorenza.
You did that great. My last name. It's sometimes confusing. Anyway, hello everyone. It is so nice to be here. It's been quite some time since I've actually been at a local word camp. Back in the day, I used to go to them a lot more frequently, but this has been great. So I'm thrilled to see you all. First of all, I had been part of organizing teams for WordCamp before, and I know how difficult it is. So I just want to send a big thank you to all the organizers, to all the volunteers. This is a really beautiful location. I truly love it. So congrats to all of you. And to you captioning, I'm sorry I don't know your name, but I've been watching. This is so fascinating to me. That work is absolutely incredible. It really blows my mind. So I want to start by saying that I am not a designer. So if you were here for any kind of visual presentation, I'm going to disappoint you greatly. I'm not a good slide maker. I did my best. So just bear with me on that. So let's get started. I want to tell you a little bit about where I came from and who I am, because I think that helps see the presentation through the lens that I look at partnerships with. And that's an important piece of this. This is a great picture from WordCamp US back in 2015, 2016, with some fellow colleagues at the time. I actually studied interpersonal communications and international studies in college. So communications to me was always something that I really loved. I started working in a sales job right after college. Believe it or not, I sold Yellow Page ads for Verizon. And I lost my job because the internet came along with online listings and no one needed the phone book anymore. I took a little detour back into the music world for some time, and then I began my WordPress journey because MySpace was dying and I needed to learn how to make websites. So I downloaded this thing called WordPress and something called GIMP, which was an open source Photoshop competitor. Remember, I was talking about this earlier. I would make these flyers. I'd literally use every effect that was available. Bevel, drop shadow, outline. They were horrendous, but at the time I thought it was the best thing ever. And then I started helping with the WordPress community, joining in some word camps, organizing some word camps. I worked at 2 agencies prior to my career right now. One of them is here, Web Dev Studios. I was there for 6 years doing business development for that amazing team. And I started at an agency that was called Yikes, that has recently retired. I'm very happy for them. They did such great work, but they have finally put the agency to rest and decided to roll out into retirement, but I started there. And now I'm at a company called Automatic, specifically WordPress VIP, which is a division of Automatic. And my job is Director of Agency Partnerships. So what I do is work with all of the web development agencies that are in our ecosystem that want to work with VIP. So I currently have about 80 partners in our partnership program. Now, this is what we know about partnerships, and I think that this is somewhat important. 73% of companies now align their partnership goals with their overall business strategy. This is signaling a shift towards greater executive buy-in. A substantial percentage of organizations derive between 30 to 60% of their revenue from partnerships. That is a huge chunk of revenue that we know that is coming from partnerships. Companies that incorporate partners into their sales strategy experience a higher close rate and larger deal sizes, proving that partnerships are a powerful competitive advantage. Now, I could probably talk about this topic, honestly, endlessly. There's so much to say. So some of what I'm going to be presenting today is more high level, but I am happy to dive in deeper with anyone at any time to talk about this more. I believe very passionately about the power of partnerships, especially when we're talking about an open source community like WordPress, where the ecosystem is so vast and is so large, it really leads to exponential growth and exponential opportunities. But beyond revenue, partnerships help companies de-risk growth by expanding their reach and market influence. Organizations with robust ecosystems are not solely dependent on direct sales, which is nice. This is a revenue pipeline that is not solely dependent on your work. They also leverage partner networks to scale faster, access new customer segments, and enhance product offerings. Those who invest in long-term partner relationships establish a sustainable revenue engine that fuels consistent success. Now, anybody here looking for a new revenue engine for their business? Just curious, yeah. Partnerships are truly one of the easiest and most rewarding ways to do this. Now, I'm going to make a wild assumption for this presentation, and I think that it's important to mention. We are going to be talking as if you have vetted companies and align with their values and going from that point forward, because there will be companies that approach you that you start to research or investigate and find, maybe I don't want to be particularly associated with this agency or this company. And I understand that we all have to make those personal decisions, but for the sake of this presentation, we're going to think as if we've done that work, we've done the legwork, the research, we've vetted the companies, and believe that we could be in business with this particular organization. I will say, though, I encourage you to do research on anybody that approaches you about a partnership and really dig in and find out if you could do business with that, with their particular morals, their values, their standpoint, all of that. That is very important. So it's a radical assumption that I'm making here. Okay, so let's talk about what we covered. Hey, do you recognize that face? That is Eddie. Eddie is actually one of my partners at 40Q. He is one of the partners that I get to work with on a regular basis. This was at a holiday party that we did for VIP, and so I love this. What we're going to cover today is the different types of partnerships that exist, what the key elements of a partnership actually are, and then a bit of a framework for going forward from this presentation. All of the photos you'll see in today's presentation are me with real-life partners. So what are the different type of partnerships? That agency in that picture is one called Fueled. They were formerly known as 10up, and some of my VIP colleagues in that picture as well. So these are some of the different type of relationships or partnerships that we're going to be talking about. Technology partnership. This is a tool, a service, a product that a company or an agency may be making, how you and whatever your business is wants to leverage the partnership with that particular tool and or service would be a technology partnership. So think, hey, you're an agency, I work at VIP. VIP very well can be considered a technology partnership in that particular situation because we offer a tool that you need for your customers. Agency partnerships. Agency partnerships are specifically when we're thinking about web development and or design agencies that create the website, the framework, the infrastructure that will utilize the technology that you've built with the technology partners. So you have agency partners, technology partners doing the tool. You also have referral and affiliate programs, which I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, meaning, hey, I have a customer that you may like. I'm going to send you this customer. Give me a percentage of whatever that customer pays you. That is a referral agreement, essentially. And then affiliate is, hey, I'm going to talk about your service. And when somebody comes to you and buys or utilizes your service, you're going to give me a percentage of that total back to me. So it becomes a revenue source. So for tech partnerships and agency partnerships, they could be a referral-based relationship. They could be an affiliate relationship, or they could just be, we're exchanging mutual business and we're all gonna win in the end. That's the beautiful thing about the ecosystem. And then I also mentioned community partnerships because, again, being in an open source community, this is such an important part of what we do. So leaning on your community to help refine, expand, accentuate the services that you offer is a big part of open source in general here. So we're going to start with a little bit of a definition. How do you define partnerships for your company? Before you even think, consider, or attempt to build some kind of partnership program out for your agency and or product and or service, the first question you need to ask yourself is, how am I defining partnerships for my company? Meaning, what do I want to bring into my business from these partnerships? What can I give back? What is the main objective of partnering with other organizations in order to better what I'm doing here? You have to know that answer for yourself. It is different for everyone. Some people are gonna say, I want the revenue source. Some people are gonna say, I want more exposure to a larger audience, so I'm leveraging these partnerships. Some people want the credibility that comes with working with organizations that might have a little bit more prestige or a little bit more experience, and that's important to you. But the first question to ask yourself is, what are partnerships going to bring me? What do I need? In other words, what problem am I trying to solve by building a partnership program for my agency and or business? Is it revenue? Is it credibility? Is it marketing? Is it pipeline? What's the issue that I need to solve for? Once you have that answer, and believe me, it's going to be personal for each of you, then you can start to look at what makes partnerships successful within your business. That's an agency called iMark out of Boston. 3 things. There are 3 pillars in every partnership. And by the way, these apply to any relationship that you have, not just partnerships in business. Trust. You have to be transparent. You have to be consistent. Collaboration. Sharing the load and holding each other accountable. A shared vision. I alluded to this before. Aligning your values, your goals, and your outcomes, and making sure they are the same. That is the way a partnership will work. So let's start with the planning phase here. The foundation. Any of you who live in Philadelphia, which is where I'm from, by the way, I forgot to mention that. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Know that gentleman in the photo. His name is Andrew. He has a company called Vast, and he is the best networker I have ever met in my entire life, single-handedly. If you want to learn how to network, talk to Andrew. He does it better than anyone. That man has infiltrated his agency into the entire federal government, and it was brilliant. He did such a good job. So the foundation. So we're defining the why. Again, I talked a little bit about this, but why are we partnering and what is it in both sides? Let's put this into context. I'm a development agency, and I have found, and let's say I'm small, 5 people, and I have found another agency that is 200 people. And I decide I want to partner with them because they need some augmentation work on certain projects. So they come to my small agency and they say, hey, we need some of your devs. We need some of your developers, some of your engineers to come work on projects just to get us through this busy spot right now. So the first question is, do you have the availability? Do you have engineers available that you can give to this larger organization? How is it going to benefit you? If your engineers go work for another agency, there's some risks there, right? Like they may see how another agency works. They may see different price points about how people get paid. They may see different things. Are you willing to take that risk? Or can you flip it and say, imagine what my engineers are going to learn by going to work with this agency that's a couple hundred people. They may learn different ways to do project management. They may learn different ways to do deployment. They could use this as a source of education if needed. These are the questions you have to be thinking about before you kind of enter into that relationship. And I will keep saying it until I'm a broken record, aligning your values and outcomes. Because if I'm an agency that feels very comfortable taking on projects like, let's say let's just use like a vape shop as an example. I'm an agency and I'm comfortable working on vape websites. Not all agencies are, right? There are some agencies who say that's a boundary for us. We would prefer not to have our team exposed to things that maybe we're uncomfortable with. These are really the questions you need to start thinking about. If another agency wants to leverage you to do work, what is the project? What vertical is it in? Who am I going to be associated with? Who am I working with? Am I comfortable allowing my team to be part of that? Communication. This is the most vital element. By the way, I am like Italian American, and all I want to do is walk and talk. This is so hard to be still. I am struggling so much. Okay, so communication, which is really, really important. This is an agency called True Knowledge, based out of Canada, right there. That picture was taken in London. They're fantastic. Communication is life, right? Communication is oxygen, and that is part of what we call the automatic creed. Establishing a regular cadence. Web Dev and I talk, once a month? 40Q and I talk once every 2 weeks, right? It's different with every agency because it depends on what that agency wants to handle in terms of volume. But those check-ins are very, very specific because we want to get on the phone and talk about what do you have going on? What do I have going on? What are you doing for marketing? What are we doing for marketing? What opportunities do you have right now? Where can I help? What enablement do you need? What training do you need? I'm going to talk about those things a little bit more. But I have an outline or an agenda that I like to follow on a lot of those calls. But having regular checkpoints does something very important. It helps to build and establish the relationship with whoever you're partnering with. Setting expectations around roles, response times, and feedback loops. I work for a global company. We are async, which means if I message my colleague who's in Ireland and he doesn't respond for 12 hours, that is normal. I am from Philadelphia, a Gemini, and the youngest of 4 girls. If I don't get an answer in 3 seconds, I panic. That's just the truth. So somebody needs to tell me when we're establishing a communication routine or we're establishing communication up front. This is how I like to be communicated with. These are my general response times. This is how I'm going to respond to you, and you have to respect it. I once saw this email signature that says, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically it said, I work for a global company. I'm sending this email at a time that is convenient for me. I recognize it may not be convenient for you. Respond when you can. And that is the attitude that you need to be taking when you're working with different agencies and or organizations, understanding how they are going to communicate with you, understanding roles. For every project that you do, there's going to be somebody who's kind of the lead, somebody who's spearheading the project management of maybe the project, somebody who's responsible for the individual things that you'll be assigning them. Know who that person is so that when you have a question, you can direct it to the right person. And then building internal champions on both sides. This is crucial. Partnerships only work if each team in that partnership has somebody at the executive level saying, I believe in that partnership, it will work. If you believe in it and your bosses don't, forget it. You are not going to get very far. Having executive buy-in on both sides is what helps propel those partnerships forward. Then finally, activation. This is IT Monks and Side. Side is based in Germany, IT Monks based in Poland, also great partners. They'd be so happy to know I was shouting them all out today. Activating. So we talked about setting the foundation. We talked about communication. Let's talk about activation. This is where partnerships get stuck the most. You do all this work, you do all this planning, and then it's like, then what? What is next? How do I actually move this forward? There's a couple things you want to be doing. Pipeline collaboration. Has anyone ever heard of a tool called Crossbeam? No? Okay, I'm about to change your life if you're interested in getting into partnerships. Crossbeam is a tool where you can take your CRM and link it with your partner's CRM. So VIP Salesforce and 40Q Salesforce, they can talk. And now I can see all of our overlapping prospects, our overlapping customers, and our overlapping leads. This is huge. This is where you start to think about targeted accounts that you want to work on together. Marketing integration. What kind of joint campaigns can we do? What kind of LinkedIn campaigns can we do together? Can we do email outreach, outbounding together where we ping pong? You send one email one week, the next week we'll send an email. Let's hit this from a bunch of different angles from both agencies to bring together that comprehensive message. Enablement. Your partner is only going to be able to talk about you if they know what you do. So you need to be able to train them, just like you would train an employee, on what you do. And that includes, it might be online training, it might be one-pagers, it might be decks, whatever you could get that partner, because now they are an extension of you. And then finally, tracking success. You've done this work. You need metrics, I'm going to talk about these in a second, to learn and understand if what you're doing is working. So now we have the plan in place, right? We're communicating, we're activating, we're doing account mapping, we have marketing ideas. Everything, this foundation, this plan is in place. Let's build it. I throw this into every single WordCamp talk I do. If any of you have ever read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I'm not going to read these for you. You can read them on your own. The reason that I do this is because I think there is no better sales training, partnership training, project management training than these four things. At its core, it's be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. These are the four pillars that I try to live by. It is slightly unrelated, but I feel the need to put it in every presentation because it is truly what I try to base everything I do off of. So here is my framework that I use for partnerships. And I kind of just went through this with you. Planning, engagement, growing, and measurement. Planning, engagement, grow, measure. Plan, engage, grow, measure. This is the framework that I use for every partnership I enter into. And I do tech partnerships, agency partnerships, something called GSIs, Global Systems Integrators, which is like Accenture, like the big guys like that. I manage all those partnerships. It is all the same framework. Even for small to mid-market agencies, it is the same framework. So how do I break these down? What goes into all of those things? We talked about it a little bit. Let's get in a little bit deeper. Account mapping, targeting accounts, 3 to 5 is the best place to start. Here are our 3 to 5 prioritized accounts that we're going to go after together. What role is your partner bringing to this equation? If you're an agency and you partner with a tech partnership, what are they bringing to these 3-5 accounts? Be specific. Are they the one who has the contact? Are they the one doing the marketing? Are they the one that's going to pay when you go to have a meeting with this customer? Get super specific as to what each person will be doing. Account intel. Who do we know? Who do you know? Who are the key players and the stakeholders? If you have an account, let's say we wanted to go after Montclair State University as a new customer. You would go, because we were talking about this earlier, you would go to their website and you would say, okay, here's everybody in the marketing department, here's everybody in the technology department, I need the CMO, I need the CTO, I need those specific names, titles, I need that contact information. Also, partner, who's responsible for getting that and writing that down? One of us needs to own that. Let's get the contact information to start. And then, what are our joint activities? Who's scheduling the meetings? Who's putting the agenda together? Who's organizing the demos? Hey, should we do an event? Let's do an event in North Jersey and invite everybody from Montclair State University to come. And at the same time, let's run a LinkedIn campaign specifically targeted to everybody in this zip code to start getting them interested. These are the types of things that we're doing in partnership to plan. Now we want to engage. So we have the partner on board, we have an account strategy in motion, we got to get them trained, we got to onboard them. They need training, they need enablement. We also need a joint value statement. So I'm this and you're this, together, what are we? And what are we bringing to this customer? If I'm an agency, and let's say the partnership that I want to activate with is an event calendar, and Montclair State University is my customer, what would I want to do? I'd want to build a demo site for the theater that we are here right by, right? Showing them how the event calendar can display all of the upcoming shows and how they could do ticket sales and all these great things. So now I've brought all these pieces together for this customer. You need a partner toolkit. That's the one sheets, the demos, all of those things. Internal alignment. Who's our champion on both sides? Actually, all three sides. Who's the champion at the customer? Who's the champion at our agency, and who's the champion at the partner agency? Create shared Slack channels, regular check-ins. I know I reiterate a lot, but I really want to make sure some of this gets home. And then finally, you're growing. Go-to-market planning. This is what I'm talking about. We run an event. We run a LinkedIn campaign. We do an outbound email strategy together, all in North Jersey in this one zip code to start getting the attention of people at Montclair State University. This is a joint messaging. Hey, we have this great product. We build websites, and with this event calendar, we can do all of these really cool things. Do we have a case study that has demonstrated the work that we're talking about together? As you build the partnership, you'll start to have mutual work. Write those case studies, get the testimonials. I'm gonna take a step back there for a moment. When you start with a new customer, and this is gonna hold true for anything, not just partnerships, make sure in your contracts you have asked, can I do a testimonial? Can I do a case? Like right from the gate, get the permission. Start writing the case study the day the contract is signed. You want that case study to be the entire process, not just the end result. Continue doing training with your partner and continuing tracking your success. Here's the takeaways. First call with a new interested partner. You've vetted them, you've done the work, you know this is a person I want to do business with. This is what that meeting looks like. Welcome and introductions. Everybody kind of says what they're doing. Set the context. Why this partnership? By the way, you know this answer now because you know why you want partnerships for your business. You've vetted this partner and you know what they're going to bring to the table for you and what you can offer them. So you are asking the question, why this partnership? And explain your reasoning. Understand their perspective. What's their business overview? Tell me, you want to hear about the company, their strengths, their value proposition. Who is their target market and their focus? Again, making sure it's aligning with what you want. Are they going after state universities? Because if they are, boom, that's exactly what we needed to hear. And then discuss your objectives and expectations. What are the main objectives in this partnership? How are you going to measure success? And then get aligned on your sales process. This is who's leading the charge, who's creating the demos, who's doing the proposal, how much are each of us going to contribute to this? Hold each other accountable. Here's your metrics. These are the things you want to measure to understand if those partnerships become successful. What is your partner lifetime value? Meaning, you've invested X amount of hours, you've won this many projects with this particular partner, there's an equation, that's my value of that partner. What does our new business pipeline look like for the year? How much do we have in net new revenue from this partner sitting in the pipeline right now? What's our expansion pipeline? We've done all this work, we have mutual customers now. Are we looking at expansion opportunities with this partner for our mutual customers? What does that pipeline look like? Influence revenue. I got to take a step back on that one. This is the hardest thing to calculate. It's nearly impossible, and I wish I had a magic answer for you. What does influenced revenue mean? Influenced revenue is, I've done such a great job of building up this relationship with 40Q, let's say, right? Eddie's at a party one night. He meets this person and he says, hey, you should check out VIP. And then 2 weeks later, we get an inbound lead from somebody who was like, I talked to some guy at a party, maybe Eddie, and I'm interested in VIP. Now that's influenced revenue because one of our partners was like in the actual real world, mentioned us to somebody, and now they're coming in as business. Impossible to track, but it's so important because even when your partners are not necessarily working, they're working for you, and that's crucial. Partner satisfaction. I want to make sure that the partners I'm working with are happy, because if they're not happy, the relationship isn't working. So you have to be able to look at partner satisfaction as a metric that's important. And then marketing activities. Is my partner placing ads for us? Is my partner doing events and mentioning us? Is our logo displayed on their website? Are we in their proposals? Are they thinking about us regularly? This is something we want to consider. So we want to make sure that the marketing activities are taken into account. The key takeaways: plan. Purposeful partnerships equal long-term growth. Engage. Set your clear expectations early. Grow with sales, marketing, enablement, and then measure. Is it working? This is something else I put in a lot of the talks that I do because, I don't know, I think I'm very much about the humanity in what we do, even though we work in tech, and I never want to lose that. So I talk about these things because I think that they are important and they apply to any role. These are two of my dogs. I have a zoo. And a lot of houseplants. Yeah, I have like over 100 plants and 3 dogs, 2 cats, a snake, a fish tank. We got a zoo. And kids, and yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. That's Frankie and Chili Dog. Chili Dog's the greatest name. Benjamin Franklin, Philadelphia. Anyway, what I found to be true. Relationships are everything. I would not be in this business if I didn't believe that. They are the cornerstone of everything that we do in any role. Your team is a reflection of you. That is true, and this is especially true in partnerships. Your partners that you bring into your ecosystem will reflect your values, mission, and at all times. So be sure that the ones that you are bringing in are the same as your beliefs. Your online world is important. What you put on LinkedIn, all of those things that you are sharing, it becomes important in a tech world. You are never too big, famous, good, or talented to do anything. I've been in this industry for a lot of years. I'm still lugging boxes. I'm still setting up at events. We all need to be so connected to every level of the work that we do in order to do it well. I believe that so sincerely. Passion is important, but determination is what will propel you forward. Motivation is very fleeting. Having a routine and being determined will get you through everything. You'll get very tired. It's okay. Get some rest, because taking care of yourself is essential. Never, ever, ever, ever stop learning. Keep coming back to WordCamps. Lean on your peers. And thank you for your time today. This is how you can find me and get in touch with me. I would love to continue conversations with all of you. At any time, you could find me on LinkedIn with that name. It's pretty easy. And feel free to use my email and reach out with anything. I'd love to answer questions now if you have some. Yes, Jeff. Yeah, I have horror stories. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have so many. Listen, I love my partners. I do. This is exactly where the research comes in. I think I have some of the best partners in the industry, and I stand by that wholeheartedly. But I have seen some stuff. We had an agency that came to us not too long ago. By the way, automatic, if you know anything about the company that I work for, you know that our security is impeccable. I mean, I have screen protectors on everything. Like my laptop is locked down. It is truly, security is one of the things that is most important to us. So if I'm vetting somebody, one of the requirements is that they be on video. Like that's an important thing. Like when I'm on a call with them, I have to see them, see their surroundings. That's very important. 3 video calls with an agency. 3 there, like room, in a room, people, humans, like all this stuff. I saw business plans. I saw everything. We signed them. We were in the process. We did not get far in the process of spinning up a new environment for them, and found out that they were basically going to every hosting company, spinning up sites, racking up a bunch of payments really quickly and bailing as like a scam to make money. And our review team caught it after the contract was signed with like in 30 seconds. And to this day, I think about it all the time because I talked to them, I found their website, I found testimonials, I found case studies. Everything was fake, and there would have been no way for me to know. I also had an agency once, instead of using lorem ipsum, put up a whole bunch of like inappropriate language on a test site that was living near us, and I had to like deal with that. So like things like that. I've had agencies that were interested in joining our program who maybe had one too many drinks, and then things start coming out that aren't really great at public events, and I've had to say, I'm sorry, I can't work with you because of X, Y, and Z. So yeah, it happens all the time, which is, again, back to the vetting, why it's pretty crucial. But I will say for the most part, like 99% of the agencies I engage with are top-notch. Yes. Correct. It's a great question. The question was basically partnerships lives between sales and marketing, and how do you facilitate the different needs of those very different business units? So as a partnerships team, we do fall under our sales org because we are a revenue source, meaning net new closed won revenue from partners. That means revenue coming from partners that we close as a company is one of the things that we measure constantly, and one of the things that determines the success of my department and what we're doing. So in order to do my job successfully, I don't only need help from marketing, I need it from solutions engineering, I need it from product, I need it from our analytics team, I need it from every other team. And I think of myself often as like a den mother trying to keep everybody in alignment and agreement. But the reality is that you have to prioritize what you're asking for and who you are asking for, meaning the partners that generate the most revenue are going to get things done faster. That is just the reality of how things work in partnership world. But we're not just talking about net new revenue, talking about all those metrics I discussed earlier, influence revenue, expansion revenue, current customers. I'm looking at all of those things. The partners who invested in the relationship and have those, like web dev has those things in motion. We have a lot of current customers. We have an even revenue stream going back and forth that I think is really vital and very important. So if Laura comes to me and says, I need this, I'm like, stop everything. Hey, marketing, I need you to push aside those other 3 things that I asked for because I need this to get done because she is an RFP. A real life example, an RFP that needs to go out tomorrow, so I need you to do this, right? So to answer your question, it is like a big matrix of things where I'm saying deprioritize here, prioritize here. If you do this for me, marketing, I'm gonna get you a case study for my partner over here on the customer that you've been asking me for a month for. And I'm constantly moving these pieces around to make sure that I could get to the highest priority issues as quickly as possible. It is not a perfect science. Sometimes I fall because I didn't get something quick enough. That's the other reality where I have to just accept that. But in my head at all times is a giant puzzle of who I'm going towards or what I'm asking and what I need. And can I honestly give something in return to kind of move the needle along? So like I have a list of content that I know partners have wanted to create. that wanted to create for us at VIP, right? Just this whole list of stuff. We don't have the bandwidth to get to everything. But when I go to marketing and have a big ask, and I'll say like, hey, maybe I could get you this thing if you can help me with this. Or if I go to sales, I'll tell you one of the biggest challenges I have is getting salespeople and account executives excited about a deal that they know is maybe in the early stages. So I spend a lot of time saying like, here's a perfect example. If I'm going to make up numbers for the sake of this example, I have a partner that did, let's say, $100,000 in revenue in 2024. And I'll say to the account executive, so this partner brought us X amount of revenue. If you had a customer that was going to bring X amount of revenue, wouldn't you stop everything? Like buy them dinner, buy them a present. You'd probably find out when their kids' birthdays was and like send presents. You're in sales, like that's what you do. So I need you to look at this partner, even though it may have been multiple deals, I need you to look at this partner like you look at that customer and treat them the same way. Build the relationship the same way. Invest in this relationship the same way, because you're gonna get to your numbers a lot quicker if you do that. And I have that conversation a lot. But it really is just like a big puzzle of what I have to prioritize, what needs to be deprioritized, and also looking at where partners are engaging and where I'm able to engage back. Because I can't also do everything that a partner wants. If Eddie came to me tomorrow and said, I want to do an event in Argentina, that market is maybe not a priority this month. So I'm sorry, Eddie. Sorry, so I might have to say, listen, we need to put that into Q4 because right now we're not focused on Argentina, we're focused on this. So another way to look at that question is to say, I need to be very clear on what marketing's objectives are for that time of year or for that quarter so that anything I'm bringing them aligns with what they need to do, because I know that that's what's gonna get done the quickest. That's another part of this. And also looking at sales folks like, hey, you're $50,000 short of your goal. Come. Let's go talk to partners right now and figure out how to make that up for you because they have business that they need too. So like, I'm gonna bring you onto these calls and we're gonna figure that out. But it does often feel like a big game sometimes where I'm just like moving all these pieces. Does that answer the question? Any other questions that I can answer for y'all? No? Guys, I love to talk. I swear. All right, anyway, thank you. It has been a pleasure speaking with all of you today. Please get in touch, especially if you're an agency. I have many avenues we could explore, small, medium, and large size agencies. I'd love to talk to you more. Just find me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And enjoy the rest of your WordCamp.